My name is John Lobell. I review movies from a mythological point of view at cinemadiscourse.com. I blog at johnlobell.com, and you can reach me at johnlobell@mac.com. And this is a discussion of the Phantom of the Opera, or how to look at an archetypal movie. The stage production of Phantom of the Opera has been seen by over 130 million people. It has grossed $5.6 billion at the box office. Why is Andrew Lloyd Webber's The Phantom of the Opera the most popular entertainment entity in any media ever? Before we discuss Andrew Lloyd Webber's Phantom, let's just quickly look at where it comes from. It's from a French novel of 1910, and before Webber's production, the most famous production of it was the American silent horror film of 1925, starring Lon Chaney Sr., famous for his ingenious makeup. The stage production launched in 1986, and a movie was done in 2004 that's very close to the stage production. The stage production has been phenomenally successful. The movie had only a modest success. Now, the reason for this success, I believe, is its presentation of archetypal figures. Christine must negotiate between three men: her father, idealized in a little girl's love; the Phantom, her demon lover mentor, a lunar figure; and Raoul, her domestic lover husband, a solar figure. And Christine herself is a young woman growing into womanhood, negotiating these men, integrating her conscious and unconscious, and balancing art and family. So before we look at these archetypal structures, let's just do a quick overview of the story using the movie. We open in Paris, 1919, and an opera house is closing. They're auctioning off memorabilia, and Raoul, and the elderly but still handsome Raoul, Vicomte de Chauny, comes to the auction brought by his chauffeur and nurse, and he bids on and buys a little toy monkey, clashing cymbals. We then flash back to the heyday of the opera, Paris, 1870. The building is new, sparkling, its sculpture gilded, carriages pulling by, but the opera is haunted by this mysterious figure, the Phantom. Later, we get the backstory. As a boy, he had been brought to the city by a circus that collected money to view his deformed face. He murders his circus captor, and a young woman from the opera rescues him and brings him to the basement of the opera. We open upon Christine in the chorus, and she spots Raoul, who had been a playmate of hers when they were young. The Phantom has been Christine's voice teacher, mysteriously speaking to her from behind a mirror, and he then arranges a series of accidents that leads to the star soprano storming off, and Christine gets her big break, performs, and becomes an instant star. She goes back to her dressing room where she has a little altar to her father, and Raoul comes and says, "We have to go out to dinner," but she says, "No, I have to be with my teacher." For the first time, he reveals himself to her, this handsome but masked figure, and he takes her down into the subterranean basements of the opera, crossing a body of water with a boat, and he awakens in her erotic sensibilities. She peels off his mask, fully willing to accept him for who he is, does not flinch at his scarred face, but he is Distraught, she returns his mask and is sad that he cannot accept her accepting him. He's angry, murders a stagehand, and then Christine and Raoul meet on the roof of the opera, declare their love for each other. The Phantom overhears and determines to intervene. He lures Christine to a cemetery where she learns for the first time that the Phantom is not the ghost of her father, nor the angel of music, that he's a threatening figure. Raoul has followed them, subdues the Phantom, but Christine intervenes and prevents him from killing the Phantom, who then declares war on both of them, writes an opera, Don Juan Triumphant, insists that it be performed with himself and Christine. He crashes the chandelier of the opera. Pretty scary when you see that in the theater. How they do that every night. And strips off his mask, takes her down to his lair again. Raoul follows, but he's in the Phantom's world, falls into his trap, is imprisoned by the Phantom. Christine is unafraid, removes the engagement ring that Raoul has given her, gives it to the Phantom, kisses the Phantom, and he releases them. The Phantom returns to his childhood toy, the little monkey with the crashing cymbals. And then we flash forward to 1919. Raoul goes to the cemetery, and we see Christine's tombstone, Countess de Charnier, beloved wife and mother. So here we have the story that she has been married, lived a long life, had children, and Raoul places the toy on the tombstone and sees that the Phantom has been there before him, leaving his signature rose and the engagement ring that Christine had given him. Now let's ask, what does it all mean? How do we view an archetypal movie? We said earlier that Christine must negotiate three men: her father, demon lover, and husband lover. And so let's start with her father. Let's look at Henry James, Washington Square. The movie was called The Heiress. And here, Catherine has a falling out with her father over his objection to her bad choice for a prospective husband, the spendthrift Morris, who wants her only for her money. Sure enough, Morris abandons her after her father's death. Catherine turns down other men, and in the final scene, she refuses to answer the knocking at the door by the aging Morris, and she has become a confirmed spinster. Our Christine, at the deathbed of her father, is told that she will be overseen by the angel of music. And this ties her to her father. It's going to not allow her to grow up. She's going to be subject to this angel, to this child's fantasy. And in the cemetery scene where Raoul and the Phantom are going to duel, she comes to realize that the Phantom is not her father's ghost, is not the angel of music. She is now in a real world where she must make her own grown-up adult decisions. Then her two lovers, the Phantom, again her demon lover, and Raoul, her domestic husband lover. And here we see the contrast between these two is an ongoing theme. In Mozart's The Magic Flute, we have the Queen of the Night, who represents the realm of the lunar, the unconscious, and Sarastro, the solar figure representing the sun and rationality. So, her demon lover. The Phantom is her demon lover and mentor. He's lunar with his half-moon mask, his going into the underworld and coming out again as the phases of the moon change, representing the unconscious, art, creativity. And commitment to him is a commitment to art and not engagement with the joys and sorrows of life. Now, we know this figure quite well from Emily Bronte's Wuthering Heights. It's Heathcliff. And Heathcliff is filled with brooding, romantic resentment at real and imagined mistreatments. And our female protagonist, another Catherine, is unable to heal Heathcliff, and he destroys those around him and eventually himself. We're going to see that our Christine is going to be more successful. So we first encounter this angel of music in her experience of him through a mirror. She hears his voice. She doesn't see him. And so he's a figure that attaches her to her childhood fantasy that there is an angel overlooking her. But then he appears and takes her down to his lair. Down, 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 depth after depth after depth in the subterranean basements of the opera. Then puts her on a horse. Now, I'm pretty good at reading symbols. I'm not sure what this horse means. Maybe some of you do. Let me know. And then we see he has this boat. And he takes her in his boat. And what does that recall? The boatman crossing the river Styx into the realm of the dead. Death is not always permanent. Some people return from the dead. We think of Odysseus. Orpheus returns from the dead but is unable to bring Eurydice back with him, but Odysseus does successfully return. So this realm of the dead, the realm of the unconscious, if one can negotiate that realm and come back from it, one is profoundly enriched. Here she encounters for the first time her romantic feelings. He carries her to a bed that, whoa, it looks like an open flower and something else as well. She is smitten with him and her romantic side opens up. But being a woman, she is driven to engage in the realities of life. She strips off his mask just the way Pandora opened the box and Eve herself and induced Adam to eat of the apple. And this is the theme of the woman emerging from eternal childhood into the realities of life. It's the theme of Disney's The Little Mermaid, where the mermaid can live immortally under the sea. But if she comes onto land, she becomes mortal. She can love, bear children, but then she will die, and her children will eventually die. And that's the choice, and Christine is choosing being engaged in life over this unconscious realm that the phantom offers her. The phantom cannot accept her attempting to draw him into life. He wants to remain hidden, and she's forced to give him back his mask, and is sad both for him being hurt and also for this refusal on his part to come out and engage in life. He then, unable to accept her offer, now insists on drawing her back into his realm, has written this opera. It will engage both of them. You see her quite aware of how dangerous he now is. He grabs her. They drop down again into his realm. This time it appears far deeper. And in his realm, he's easily able to overcome and imprison Raoul. And with total confidence, totally without fear, Christine walks up to him, removes the engagement ring that Raoul has given her, gives it to the phantom, kisses him, and heals him. Now her husband lover, Raoul, her domestic lover, husband, Solar with his flowing blonde hair, the conscious, family, marriage, children, domesticity, immersion in the joys and sorrows of life. When you engage in marriage, have children, you are engaged in the sorrows and joys of life. He's kind of a cardboard character, much less deeply treated than the Phantom. Reminds us of the cover of a romance novel with our hero striding across the cover, and they meet on the roof of the opera. Now, I don't know why it's at night, because it should be in the day. He's our solar figure, but the roof contrasting with the basement. He is our solar figure representing the conscious world, not the unconscious world of creativity. And he is accepting, generous, and tolerant. And the whole story of their marriage is told in this one fleeting shot of her tombstone. We know that she's lived a long life, beloved wife and mother. Christine's art. And now we think of the story of the red shoes. In the movie, inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's fairy tale, but a very different story, our heroine Vicky meets the impresario Lermontov, who asks, "Why do you want to dance?" She responds with a question, "Why do you want to live?" To which he replies, "Well, I don't know exactly why, but I must." And Vicky then says, "That's my answer too." Lermontov takes on Vicky, grooms her to be a great dancer, and declares, "A dancer who relies upon the doubtful comforts of human love will never be a great dancer. Never." Vicky eventually attempts to pull away from Lermontov by marrying Julian, but Lermontov persuades her to leave Julian and appear in a new ballet, The Red Shoes. Once she has put on the shoes, she is driven to flee the theater and jump in front of a train. She asks her husband to remove the shoes as she dies. So, the choice between life, marriage, engagement with the world, and art, and Vicky has an unsuccessful negotiation of these two, and she is shattered and dies. Not so our Christine. Christine is triumphant in the opera and then knows when it's time to leave and takes on her life. Again, all we know about it is this tombstone, but we can picture Raoul had a pretty impressive estate, so it was going to be a wonderful life. And her marriage. We know the story of Anna Karenina in Tolstoy's novel, torn between her husband and child and her lover. Neither of them really satisfactory characters. She is unable to make the choice, unable to hold her center, and ends up throwing herself on the railroad track to commit suicide. Our Christine successfully negotiates that. So here she is, a long, happy life as the Countess de Charnier, beloved wife and mother, but at the end of her life, on her tombstone, the Phantom has left his signature rose and the engagement ring that she had given him. About that rose, what's been going on all this time? Maybe she's been seeing the Phantom when her husband's out of town. Maybe he became the music tutor of their children. We don't know, but we are given these tantalizing hints that she never did have to abandon one for the other. She was able to integrate both of them successfully into her life. And we realize in the end that Christine had had two successful marriages. Her marriage in this world of joys and sorrows to Raoul, and a marriage of spirits. They've been soulmates to the Phantom all these years. No wonder Phantom of the Opera is the greatest grossing entertainment of all time.